One day, a deer did something quite unusual and brought her offspring to meet a dog. The dog in this story happened to be a typical domestic canine, a golden retriever by the name of G-Bro, and it shared an exceptionally strong bond with the deer. Extraordinary animal bonds like these are a rarity, but when they do occur, they are undeniably special. The owners were left in awe as they observed the dog's reaction to the deer babies, rendering them all speechless. The remarkable tale began over a decade ago. On that fateful day, the Brown family was going about their usual routines, and everything appeared to be as ordinary as any other day. Little did they know that destiny had something unexpected in store for them. The Browns resided in a rural area, with their home just a stone's throw away from the forest. It was common to encounter wildlife in their neighborhood, with deer being the most frequent visitors. Spotting one or several deer peering through the foliage while driving down the road was nothing out of the ordinary. However, on this particular day, the Brown family witnessed something out of the ordinary, something heart-rending. While driving back to their home, they spotted two figures by the roadside. As they drew closer, they realized it was an adult deer with a baby deer lying nearby. The Browns promptly pulled over to investigate, only to discover that the adult deer had already passed away. It was evident that a reckless driver had struck the animal while attempting to cross the road. Somehow, the baby had survived. This was a good thing, because it would have been more tragic if both the mama and baby deer had died on the spot. But then again, there was no way a baby deer would survive alone in the wild. Mrs. Brown was moved with compassion and pity for the orphaned baby deer. The fawn appeared to be just a few days old, and she knew there was no way the poor thing would survive on its own. So the family had no other choice but to take the baby and raise it as their own. Thankfully, they had a friend who had been in a similar situation before, so they asked him to give them some tips on how to raise a wild deer. As luck would have it, the friend was able to provide them with crucial information that would help them raise the deer without any problems. With that, the Brown family boldly took the animal in, determined to give it a new home. Around that time, the family had acquired a new golden retriever puppy named G-Bro. So, coincidentally, there were now two new baby animals in the house. At first, the Brown family didn't know what to expect. There was no telling if the two animals would get along because they were entirely from two different worlds. In addition, the puppy was quite agile and dominant compared to the gentle and timid fawn. But to everyone's surprise, the two babies took a liking to each other almost instantly. The puppy and the fawn seemed to have made a pact that day, swearing to look after one another and never separate. As the dog and deer grew, their bond grew stronger and stronger, so much so that they would hardly be seen apart. It was just as if they were twins reunited. The Brown family was delighted to see the two animals play together, eat together, and even groom each other. They had named the deer Buttons, and it became normal to find Buttons licking G-Bro's fur and to see G-Bro returning the favor. However, their favorite time together was when they went for walks in the woods. The Brown family had always planned to release Buttons back into the wild, even though she had now become a part of the family. They knew the best thing for the animal was to release her back into the wild, when she was mature enough to fend for herself. According to Mrs. Brown, it took a lot of work, but our whole goal was to let her bewilder but also just become a part of the family. The Brown family seemed to have done a good job raising Buttons because her bond with G-Bro seemed eternal. G-Bro was now a grown-up retriever and Buttons too was showing signs of entering maturity. But this growth and maturity didn't stop these two animals from caring for each other, just as they used to when they were little. G-Bro always loved getting cleaned by Buttons, and he wouldn't mind sitting in front of her for hours, enjoying her gentle grooming. Buttons too, on the other hand, never got tired of licking G-Bro. She would go on and on, never wanting to stop. The adorable creatures did everything together, including playing in the snow during winter. But then, sadly, the time came for Buttons to be released back into the wild. It was a hard decision for everyone, but the Brown family knew it had to be done. At the end of the day, Buttons was a wild animal and deserved to live in the wild. Moreover, she was now fully grown and ready for life in the wilderness. So with teary eyes, the family bid her goodbye. The day Buttons left, the Browns thought they would never see her again. However, they were shocked when they found the young doe strolling back to the house only a few days later. She had come to visit home, but most of all, she had come to see her friend and brother, Dogdeer. Dogdeer couldn't hide his joy when he realized his best friend had returned. The poor dog had been moody when Buttons left, thinking he'd never see her again. So when Buttons walked through the door, Dogdeer quickly ran up to her with a wagging tail, and then the shower of kisses and licking began to pour out again. It was just like the old times. The deer left that day, but she made a new routine. She always came to visit the Browns' house every few days. She never stayed away for too long, clearly not wanting to separate from her childhood friend, even now that she had returned to the wild. The Brown family didn't mind this new development. All they cared about was that the deer was safe and adjusting nicely. For all they knew, she was part of their family, and they would welcome her anytime. However, the following spring, Buttons didn't come as she usually did. She seemed to have disappeared for days and days, and the family waited, expecting Buttons to show up. But she didn't. They began to get worried. What if something bad happened to the poor deer? What if a car had hit her and left her for dead, just like her mother? But thankfully, just when the Browns thought all hope was lost, the beautiful deer reappeared at the door. But this time, she had a pleasant surprise for everyone. Buttons had given birth. Strolling alongside her were two tiny fawns, adorable like their mother. The Brown family couldn't believe their eyes. They never imagined Buttons would ever bring her babies to them. Mama deer are often very protective of their young, but Buttons took them as family, so she couldn't help but bring her kids to show them off to her parents and her dearest brother, Dogdeer. Miss Brown confessed that Dogdeer was overly excited. The first time Buttons brought her kids home, his reaction was truly priceless. Rather than displaying any strange or cautious behavior towards the unfamiliar newborns, Dogdeer immediately embraced the baby deer with profound affection. To the astonishment of onlookers, he started licking and grooming the fawns just as their mother had done when they used to play together. The entire scene was a heartwarming spectacle. Dogdeer treated the fawns with genuine love, as if they were his very own offspring. From that day on, Buttons never failed to bring her babies to visit Dogdeer and the Brown family. This became an annual tradition for 11 years. Whenever she had new fawns, she proudly introduced them to her best friend, and on each occasion, Dogdeer, the golden retriever, showered the babies with love and care as if they were his own. If Buttons happened to arrive when the family was indoors, she would make her way to the back door and gently tap it, seeking their attention. Whenever this happened, the Browns promptly informed Dogdeer that his friend had come to say hello. Their friendship was a truly unique and extraordinary one. Buttons and Dogdeer demonstrated that even the most unconventional and improbable relationships can be extraordinarily beautiful. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you.